Hello, Detroit. Hello, world. Welcome back to another episode of the Hook Podcast, coming to you from the Six Hole Studio in Detroit, Michigan. I'm here with my co-host, Jeffrey Lowe.
What up, though?
Main man, sports analyst, Leland Stein.
Yo.
Our ace, Michael Hudson.
Invited guest, me, thank you.
No, you know, not
I'd be glad when I get paid.
Well, nobody getting paid, Mike. But get some subscribers before we get paid.
Me too, Mike.
Today,
be glad when I get paid too, Mike.
Today is society is in kind of a turbulent situation, in a turbulent spot, with the government being run by, we all know, whether you like them or not, is putting people of color in a particular situation. What a lot of us are calling the rollback, which is what I'm calling the rollback, because they're trying to roll history, the present day back into history, back to where...
To the 60s, huh?
No, further back than that, brother.
50s?
Back to where Make America Great really means Make America White again. And giving those people of less color positions of power that they used to obtain, and that you used to have over people of color, particularly black people. Yeah. And so Leland came in and he wants to discuss some of the latest issues, specifically the Supreme Court, I believe.
Yeah, oh my
Leland?
God. It's 2026 and the Supreme Court has done a pretty good job of killing the Voting Rights Act. Recently in a 6-3 decision, the court gutted the legislation that ended apartheid in America, in this country, and once again gave white people, our white brothers and sisters, the ability to suppress our black vote. It's just hard to believe that this is where we are, actually. The Supreme Court was put there. We got to say something about them, first of all. They're the only arm that's put there for a lifetime.
Which is insane. And
the whole purpose for it was that if you give them a lifetime appointment, then they could just vote the law, and they wouldn't be beholden to any political parties. And okay, so I get that. That sounds pretty good, don't it?
You would think, but
theory.
My thing is that once you're in there, we always like to say don't be biased and let the law be the law, but I don't care who you are, you have opinions on everything. Outside the law, no matter what the law says, you feel one way about it regardless of what it is. And, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we're having some emergencies running up and down the street outside. But it's like when the judge would say, strike that from the records. My thing is, you've already heard it. So that's going to affect your opinion, your outcome, your thought on the matter, regardless of whether you have to strike it or not. You've heard it, you're going to think it. And that's the same situation with being in the Supreme Court. You're there, and you're a human being. Whether you understand the law or not, whether you try to be unbiased or not, somehow or another you can't help but.
No, but some of these rulers aren't human.
They're not.
All.
They're not.
They're not even showing any humanity. It's just straight up supporting a party line right now.
Yeah,
and that's unconscionable, and that's exactly what they're doing to the Department of Justice. They even have flags. They got Trump flags hanging over the Department of Justice when you come in the two main entrances. I didn't notice that till the other day.
What, a flag with his face on it?
Yeah, hang like that old Nazi nonsense. But it's actually hanging in the Department of Justice. So every judge that goes in there, everybody that come over there, they're recognizing who they work for, and not who you're supposed to work for is the people of the United States of America.
No, but this is why you made a statement earlier that the reason why they was given a lifetime appointment, because like you said, if I know I don't have to worry about being reelected,
right,
that I can, and you said it, that I should vote, I should interpret the law. But
fairly,
as you said it,
honestly.
Well, no. When Stein is saying that was the intention, to say, hey, you got a lifetime appointment. You ain't got to worry about trying to satisfy a certain group.
Right.
But as you notice, the Supreme Court justice seem like, okay, they beholden to whoever nominated them to the bench.
Right.
And that's, to me, that wasn't what it's supposed to be.
No, it wasn't.
Right.
The reason why we giving you a lifetime appointment, you supposed to interpret the law to what it is, not, like say if I'm not going to, if any president nominates you, if they want something done, you got to be persuaded. That's the reason why you got a lifetime appointment.
Yeah, but
And that's true what you said.
But
That was the intention. But now you seem like, and I'm not saying whether you're Democrat or Republican, because if you're a
Well,
Supreme
to me-
Court judge, you should be interpreting the law.
Yeah,
Right.
but to me, it goes deeper than Republican and Democrat. To me, it's more like on what a color basis. If you're white, you understand the world from a white perspective. If you're black, you understand the world from a black perspective. If you're Asian, you understand it from an Asian perspective. So whether you
But that's not
understand,
what-
I'm not saying what it's supposed to do. We know what it's supposed to do. We know that when you become a Supreme Court justice, these are the rules that you're supposed to follow. You're supposed to take the law blindly and
Right.
interpret it fairly,
Right.
regardless of what you think. You're supposed to take your feelings outside of it and just go by the law. But my argument has always been, outside the Supreme Court, any court, if you're a certain person, you hear certain things, you're going to interpret them the way you were brought up. If I hear something, it's going to affect me differently than it's going to affect you. We're all black, but you grew up a little bit differently than I did. So we can hear the same thing. I will still interpret it different, even though we know, okay, Mike, Keith, these are the rules you're supposed to go by. We may follow the rules the best we can, but somehow or another, because you were brought up on the east side, I was brought up on the west side, I'm going to see things a little bit differently. And therefore, it's going to affect my thought pattern and my outcome on that decision, just as it will yours.
That's true.
Even though it's not supposed to, Stein.
But once you go to college and once you've learned and once you've seen the world, then those sides should start mitigating those kind of things.
You would think so.
Well, yeah, most people did. The Supreme Court obviously was the horrible piece of garbage in the early age because they did that Plessy versus Ferguson and agreed that separate and unequal was okay. So we know the Supreme Court ain't did right. But for some reason, around the 50s, they got the hallelujah moment in the Supreme Court, and they started voting based on what they were seeing more than you ever seen it before. They were actually really voting based on the law. And it worked for a while until recently it took a flip back in the other direction.
Right. So, like you just said, they just gutted
The voting
the
rights,
voting
yeah.
right. Now, the voting right was put in by law
Right.
to do a certain thing.
Yeah, because
So
they wouldn't
if-
let the brothers and sisters vote.
Right.
Soon as
So
that
if
law,
you don't feel that, if you're going to go by the law is everybody has a right to vote.
exactly.
If you're a citizen of America, you have a right to vote. Okay? But somehow or another, personally, some people figure some people don't have that right.
Exactly.
So forget the law. Forget what's written. Forget doing the right thing. I'm going to do what I think is best for me and my people. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, see,
Somehow or
the
another,
Supreme
your
Court
feelings just get involved.
just turned it over to the states, basically. And what you're seeing now, starting
That
in
takes it out of their
Louisiana,
hands.
It does. And
But,
you see what they're doing. They're taking over Memphis. They had one black district. They just took it.
You just knocked it out.
Louisiana, Texas, in the Houston area. It just goes on and
But,
on.
I mean,
the whole South.
But
The whole South.
also in part of their ruling,
What happened to the
'cause
Civil
orig-
War? Why are we still fighting the same old nonsense?
I know.
It never ended.
Originally, part of it, they said it's no more discrimination. They're saying that when the Voting Rights Act was created, there was openly discrimination. So now when they gutted it, they said, well, Clarence Thomas, is my understanding,
Man, don't use his name. He's such a disappointment.
they decided,
biggest
they saying
disappointment in
that
black
at this point, there's no more discrimination. So why do we need to have, like any district that's
Who
designed for,
said there's no more discrimination?
that's what's part of his ruling, that there's no more discrimination.
So
Because, let's face it, all those laws were created because we were, discriminated
Discriminated against,
So
right.
right. But they feel like now there's no discrimination, so we don't need to be bound by those laws that was created for make sure that you have a black district.
Well, but wait a minute. It wasn't like they just created a black district. First of all, there was a living black population that had deserved the right to vote, which
True.
they didn't have before. So that's kind of how that
Okay.
evolved. It wasn't like they just said, well, let's throw all these black people together. They were already in these areas. So that was created by itself. So they just said, well, we'll carve this out. It's black representation. They can vote in their own representative and have a voice. So, yeah, that's kind of how it happened. But now they're like,
Okay,
don't
like
care
said,
about Butler or
right.
Lowe.
It says, okay, I'm assuming
having a
in,
voice.
in Section 2, it said the ruling effectively nullified a vital provision of the Voting Rights Act that requires states to draw electoral maps, giving racial minority voters the opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. What they saying, that was done
That's
because
what I just said.
right, that was done to make sure that we was able to vote somebody that looked like us. What the Supreme Court is saying now, well, there's no more racism. So, you know, you shouldn't have. Don't get me. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying they basically the way I interpret it is that well, you don't need to have any district carved out. You know, and I know this might upset
But
some
they
of you.
still carving out a district.
Yeah,
When they take
thank
away
you.
that district, they create
Thank
another
you.
district.
That-
And it's not, they'll never stop carving.
Okay.
They just
okay.
carve their own damn thing to
No,
suit
okay, all right,
themselves.
all right, okay.
5 points for Stein on that one.
No, okay,
It's
okay,
just insane
all right,
what
okay,
they're
okay,
doing, man. But
okay.
hey,
Let me ask this question
whatever,
then.
man.
Okay,
It is
say
what it is.
when that was originally designed.
Okay.
We say they carved out a district.
You're right.
Okay, the thing of it is that you know even if you take away that district, you still who's ever running, you know, still got to be able to attract because there's independent voters and Republicans and Democrats.
Well, they
Okay, but
diluting
if you
the
take
voters.
away that district, you
Right.
take away
You said
the
you
vote.
had 100,000
So now you
brothers.
But no,
instead of
you don't take away the
instead of-
vote.
No. Instead of
No.
having 3 districts, you got 1 district, and that district has only
One
one rep,
representation.
as opposed to each district
Right.
having a rep. So instead of having 3 reps,
Right.
you have 1 rep for
Right.
the whole district, whether it's white, black, Asian,
Right.
whatever. So like Stein was saying, instead of like you were saying, they carved it out because first of all,
It's called
they didn't.
gerrymandering.
They didn't want to
Yeah.
live with us, so we said, okay, we're going to give this section to the Negroes, we're going to give this section to the Asians, and this is where we're going to live, us. But when all of a sudden the power from the white section started to diminish because the power in the black section started to grow, they said, we got to do something about it. So instead of having 3 districts, this is my thinking, ladies and gentlemen, I could be completely wrong because I don't know politics, but instead of having 3 districts, like Stein saying, you get rid of the black district, you get rid of the Asian district, and you put it all under 1 district. And instead of having 3 reps, you got 1 rep who is representing what you want represented. And that way, your vote, the black vote, don't count.
No,
They're
because once they
representing
dilute it, if you
one
had
One district.
100,000,
Yeah, I mean, now that
yeah,
part-
100,000 votes.
let's say if
Right,
you
that
had
part
100,000
is-
black folks in the city,
Yeah.
and then they carve it up, then you get a third. So
And it weakens your
yeah,
position.
It does. It weakens your position mightily.
Well,
That's what
well,
they did
prime
in
example
Detroit
would be-
when they
would
took
be
Connor's
Detroit.
district. Yeah, they did it. And now you see what you got: Sri Canada and homegirl, Rashida, who I like, but yeah.
Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah, that's what they already did. Us did.
Yeah, so. But go ahead, Stein. I'm sorry.
No. I don't know, man. I don't know how we're going to ever get back to zero in this current environment that we're in. I'm totally shocked. I've lived through all this nonsense and to have seen it,
Well,
and then to see it actually.
I know we got to get out and vote.
Well,
We got to get the word out.
Yeah.
We got to get out and vote.
Well, 15% of the population voted
They can declare it, but
in
we know the truth.
Memphis. In Memphis, 15%.
You said 50 or 15?
They said 15%.
15%.
Voted. And now they just stole their district, took it, done everything to impose Memphis, man. But see, it's not all our fault.
15%.
I know, it's sad, ain't it? Because they beat people down so bad, and they not teaching education, the facts in school. So That's probably to me is the biggest problem in all of America is the fact that, unfortunately, our white brothers and sisters aren't being taught the truth. So they're more subject to all the propaganda and the nonsense they see about black people, and they ingest it into a reality because they just don't know no better.
Well, I mean,
And America does that purpose because it's easier to hate somebody when you look at, remember all the World War II movies and all that? Well, never no brothers in it. I was shocked when my grandfather told me he fought World War II. I was like, what? There was never no brothers in nothing.
Well,
It's like we didn't compete.
but it's like you
so
said,
just
propaganda.
think, the white folk though are seeing this, so they're looking at, we did all this. There wasn't nobody else.
Yeah, but like you said, the word propaganda.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they wanted their people to understand and know. Just like all the stuff about us and Tarzan and taking over the jungle, we running around in grass skirts with big hoops in our noses. You know,
You come up there and command the animals.
right? So
Teach them how they can talk to them.
it's
And
propaganda.
they live there their whole life, and they can't do nothing.
There was I talked to some brothers from World War II, and they were telling us how, and I think we've talked about this before, how the white soldier brethren would tell the Asians or the German women, don't mess with blacks because they've got tails and horns.
Right, that's it, yeah.
And, you know, they believe this. You told something long enough, you believe it. You're convinced. And this whole thing with the Supreme Court, you know, it's just to the point where they want to just go backwards. They know that if white people didn't have this, well, not all white people, and I'm not trying to say
of
that,
course not
but
all. No.
but like they group, if Jeffrey does one thing and he goes to jail, then they're gonna group all of us around this table as being convicts like Jeffrey.
Like a knucklehead like Jeff.
Yeah, whereas the white race, they do something. They only pinpoint that one particular person. They don't lump the whole race of white people into that. Oh, well, Jeffrey Dahmer ate, people, so all white people eat people. No, that's just Jeffrey Dahmer. Well, Michael
Yeah, the
Hudson
president
stole a
talking
bite,
about
so
we
all
eat
black
dogs.
people steal bites. So, but I got off track, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean,
somebody pick
for
me up.
me, is almost like, they've been picking at our voting rights for years. Every time something would reach the Supreme Court, even though they would strike it down, but in the strike down, they would give an opinion, the reason why. And then now they'll bring it back again.
Yeah.
And
Because at some point it's got to go through.
Right. It to me, it's almost like, the Supreme Court was telling them, no, you're not arguing the right point. And eventually, and you get the right amount of people that's on the Supreme Court like it is now.
That's basically in a nutshell.
Now
people
you
that they
come
put
back
on
with the
there.
right opinion that, like Judge
Worded
Alito
properly.
said in his statement, that, well, like I said, the article, I was basing on, if you ever read that article, where it says, finishing our Voting Rights Act, Supreme Court declares racism over again. And that's what Judge Alito cited in his part of his ruling, that the numbers of people voting now are just about equal.
But that doesn't mean
He
racism
didn't
is
say that
over.
because it's
Yep.
retarded.
He
We're
probably
only
said it.
15% of the population.
No,
We'll
but-
never be equal.
He probably said it
he-
because that's an excuse to validate what they're doing.
Just think about Ito. Now, here's a grown man, educated. He's seeing what's going on now. They just snatched away the DEI and all that stuff, and he's going to sit here and say racism don't exist.
Yeah, like, okay.
But it's like
I
Mike
mean,
was saying,
they can
you
say
come back with the
anything.
proper wording, then you can get what you want passed through. They've been coming back saying, well, we need to do this, we need to get rid of this, we need to get... Yeah, but you're not saying it right.
Well, no,
So you come
gotta
back with
lie
the
more.
pro-
Just say, oh,
whether it's a-
racism's over.
Whether it's a lie or not,
declared done.
as long as it's worded properly, that they can use it and make it fit, then you can push it through.
Interpretation.
Okay.
Interpretation. Up to that
Okay.
point, it wasn't interpreted right. So they
Okay.
couldn't push it through.
It's like
well, they didn't have the judges to push it through back
Yeah,
then.
that's probably true too.
They didn't.
it's like Supreme Court Judge
Not gonna
Alito
happen.
said. Alito claimed representing outrageous cherry picking. He was not referring to recent election, but to those in 2008 and 2012, the year that Barack Obama ran for president. In those, the most recent presidential election, the trend showed exactly the opposite. That the fact is the racial turnout gap is widened, and Roberts courts are particularly responsible. In other words, he looked at that and probably interpreted, wow, voting African Americans are voting in high numbers, so that means that racism doesn't exist in voting
That's
anymore.
just retarded.
So let's start. So now, why do we need, like you said, those districts? We'll just gerrymander them out. Now, still having you got to
But see,
compete.
there's Italian districts, there's
But
Polish
that's
districts.
racism in itself.
It is. It's just you're just gonna pick the black district out of everything else in the country.
Leave everybody else alone. Break up the white
There's
district.
Polish people. There's Arab districts. I mean, my God. But hey, it is what it is.
But
y'all.
the whole thing is just that
it's America just can't get beyond its ability
To hate black
separate
people.
it. They can't do it.
they can't get
It's
past
so
the
sad.
ability to hate black
No, they can't.
Americans.
And it's weird because we're nothing. We have one black president. We got two black
But that's all you
senators.
need, bro. You had your president.
Well, it's just one.
So quit crying about
It's 60.
but you had it.
But,
But you
okay.
had him.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but we ain't taking over nothing.
Okay, all right.
Point.
Okay,
Look at the CEOs he took to China with him. You ain't see no brothers over there
Not
going
one.
with him.
Not
We
one.
But-
just go
but-
on and on and on.
okay,
and
but let
on
me
and
ask
on.
this question. For me, it seemed like as African Americans, to me, we spend too much time trying to worry about. When I drive through Dearborn, the Arabs not saying, hey, we need to integrate. For me, integration was bad for us. And that's only because, when you look at people from India, they coming over saying, okay, education is your game, we're going to beat you at it. If investment in our communities and building businesses, we're going to beat you at it.
Yeah.
So look at Dearborn. When they went to Dearborn, they started buying those businesses. But for you don't hear them talk about, okay, we need to integrate.
Okay, Mike.
But we as African Americans, and we have economic power
But-
to where we can start buying areas.
And Detroit used to be like that.
Okay, two arguments.
Detroit had black
But
gas
then-
stations.
It
Detroit had black
business.
supermarkets.
Yes. But what happened? Tulsa had them. Yeah, you sit up and say
Right.
we're not doing
Black Wall
this,
Street.
and we're trying to integrate. When we tried to separate, they bombed the shit out of us.
But I mean,
When we tried to separate it,
They destroyed at least 25 black towns in America.
drowned
Talk
one,
about it.
flooded one to make a water
that's
park,
incredible.
wiped out Black Bottom to run a
Freeway.
through. So don't talk about
No, but I'm saying, but
Central
when we
Park,
have
but-
something,
where the
they
black
take it from us.
community
no, but that still
Black Wall
shouldn't-
Street was standing on its own, one
Yes,
of the
it
most
was.
financially
true.
powerful black.
Well, even the Black
and
Bottom
that's
was
where the
standing
first
on its
bombing
own.
came from. They literally flew planes over
They
and
did.
dropped a bomb.
I can't believe they did that, man. That's some incredible stuff.
Rosewood burnt it to the ground. Just
But
destroyed.
that shouldn't
So-
stop us, though, Keith. That still shouldn't stop
it
us.
stopped them.
From actually.
Okay, I can see you saying that if it was just one town. Oh, well, y'all had one town and y'all gave up. No, we did it over.
So you
over,
saying
over,
if
and
we-
over again.
if we
and
were
every time
to-
we did it, they destroyed it.
Like say, take the
But
Avenue
see,
of
you know,
Fashion.
but we wasn't brought here like our Arab brothers and sisters. So it's a little different. Our goal of success, when I got out of state, I was thinking, move to suburbs, get the white picket fence,
Yeah, we all did. We all did.
We all like boom, boom, boom. They had us into
Where am I living?
nonsense.
Where am I living?
You living still in Detroit,
Right,
And
but I
do
got my
too.
own, right?
Right.
So that I was like you said,
Yeah, I
that
got
was my own.
stayed my butt in
Everybody
Detroit
got their
this
own,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all thinking this is a success story. That's what we live for to get to that point. I'm sorry, Stein.
No,
go
no,
ahead.
no, go ahead. But we can't live in a segregated world, not in the United States of America. It's impossible.
But they
Because-
don't let us, even if we wanted
But
to.
you just can't. I
They
mean, we
wouldn't let
can't
us.
do anything because they redline you. I mean, look at the stuff they did as far as people trying to get loans and housing and insurance rates. You know, redlining is a real thing. This is not a joke. It's not something people just speak.
What you have to say, Mike?
They actually did all this stuff.
I mean, no.
But we live in a segregated world, though.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but we still have good economic
what's
power.
supposed to
If we actually get together,
Not really.
like okay.
Because I'll give you an example. Barton, I
They
was
will
sitting there-
fight that. You know
Barton
it.
Cable. I was sitting at the Capitol House with Mark Smith. Mark was the chief financial. He was CFO. So he was saying how Barton took him like 3 or 4 years. He had the idea of trying to get. He couldn't get no money. That's what segregation does for you. Couldn't
True.
get no bait. So Mark happened to be working with the Canadian company that was doing it. They funded.
That's
Barton.
how he got started.
Not the U.S. So no,
I mean,
being segregated means we still wouldn't get no funding. We still being unsegregated means we can be involved in the political processes, be involved in the banking community, be involved in the education board. You know, all these things, election committees.
But
But-
with the
okay, but
destruction
then
of the destruction
we
of the
can't do
voting,
segregation.
the voting bill, guess what you won't be able to do?
Well, we ain't gonna be able to vote. No
Thank
more.
you. Which means what?
We can vote,
You're
but
losing
just don't have no
all
power.
kind of power.
You're gonna lose some power. There ain't no doubt about it.
But
Ain't no doubt about it.
then what is the answer? Okay,
Well, you gotta keep fighting.
let me say this before
That's it.
before you answer.
That's the answer.
Okay, you mentioned all of those wonderful areas, right? In Oklahoma, you mentioned Black Bottom. At some point,
Black Bottom's in Detroit.
yeah. No,
he's
I'm
just
just saying
talking about
that,
all the areas around.
that you mentioned.
Right.
Successful black
Okay.
areas.
Now, at some point, they didn't have the economic to get money from banks. Then did they?
No, they
No,
didn't.
did
they had
they?
their own bank.
No. I'm saying
go
when they
ahead,
got
go ahead.
started.
Yeah, go
just,
ahead.
But it was
just
always some
Black-
white guy that helped them. Every single big black business, even including Underground Railroad, it don't matter what it is.
That's true.
It's one of them there that had a good spirit and a good heart, and they helped.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, you take Black Wall Street. Okay, it's unfortunately, I wish I could know the very first business that started there.
I get that.
Okay, then evidently other businesses saw, and it was probably even more racial discrimination then than it is now.
It was.
So that's what I'm saying.
But it was
But it didn't
different.
stop them from doing Black
'Cause
Wall
it was
Street.
different.
It's almost like what
They
you
didn't have a
saying.
choice.
We using that as a reason to say, well, you know what? We shouldn't pull our economic power together because that's
I
not
get-
true.
I get your argument. We can still do it.
Oh, right, that's
But-
what I'm saying. Okay, they open up a restaurant over on
How you
Mac.
gonna pull economic power if you got 50 cent people in our
Well,
community?
I mean, but you
People
put
like that. They ain't
but
gonna
you
never-
put enough 50 cents together.
No, he ain't dealing with nobody else. And that's just how it is with these guys. So
Okay,
that-
but I'm saying
understand-
that.
I understand
Then
your
Then
point.
what?
too.
Then okay. Then what? Okay, that's what I'm saying. What happened to the spirit? Those people had spirit. At some point in Oklahoma, somebody had to say, you know what? I'm finna start a business.
Mike, you know. Let me use this analogy. At one point, dogs weren't domesticated, right?
Yeah, there was.
They were all wild. They come from a wolf nature. But over time, you feed a dog enough, you beat a dog enough, that dog is going to lose an essential part of itself and is going to conform to what you're doing.
True.
All these places.
But it don't
where-
mean that if. But what if you put it back out there in the woods?
Let me take my turtle. I couldn't put my turtle out in the wilderness because it wouldn't survive because it grew up being fed by me since the day
No,
it was born.
He might not make it,
Right. So
but whatever offspring that he hook up with out there, eventually, say if you threw him out there in the lake,
Good argument.
he might not make it. But whoever the offspring he left, guess what?
Good argument.
Okay.
That's the point. But the point I was trying to make is we built our own institutions. And we ran our own institutions for a period of time. And then somebody said, you know what? You see across the river? Them black people don't need us. They're surviving on their own. They're taking money out of our pockets.
Right.
So we got to find a way to stop that. They blew it up. Somebody said, oh, that's all right. We'll start it over here. They don't want us here. We'll move somewhere else. We'll start it over there. You see them black people up the hill? They're not bringing money in here. We lose them. Like you mentioned earlier, what happened with the Montgomery boycott? They didn't want you on the bus until you hit them with that money, and they said, "Oh, we got to do something to get that money back." So when we stand on our own, and they always say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, stand on your own. Every time we do it, and we show them, and we show the world that black excellence can survive, they find a way to knock it down.
And
But
there's,
shit,
a-
that's
and
not-
there's
The
an
whole
example.
reason about the voting.
But shit,
the
that
voting
no,
act.
what I'm saying is,
Black
shit
people
that
getting too much power. We got to stop it. Quit giving them the right to vote.
There's an
And we
example.
don't
I-
have too much power. That's a
We
scary
don't,
power.
but they think we do. The little bit of power we have,
That's
they
so
want to take
little.
that away.
Well, there's an example right here in Detroit.
Nothing.
But then how would
On
how do you,
Woodward,
then
on Woodward Avenue, there's a black, totally owned and operated supermarket that is successful right now. And
Which
is doing
one is
pretty
that?
well. It's on Woodward Avenue.
I went in there.
You went in there. I
Oh,
can't remember
yeah.
the name of it.
I can't remember the name of it.
Well, it didn't help us or help our
There's
listeners.
something collective. There's something collective.
Yeah.
On Woodward Avenue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In Detroit?
In Detroit.
Between where
They
and
even
where?
have kitchens upstairs that you can rent the kitchens and do stuff. and stuff
Where's
like
it
that.
between? 8 Mile, 9
no,
Mile?
no. It's near downtown.
Yeah, it's going.
I think it's
right
just
towards
south of Mac.
Okay. Well, we'll find that out for you on next show.
You're not talking about the co-op. I mean, I think
The
co-op.
Co-op.
Yeah, co-op.
Co-op, but I don't.
Well,
but see,
that,
I don't think that's black owned. That's a co-op because anybody can go in and buy
Yeah.
shares. I know you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but it was a black group collective that started.
Right.
Okay,
right.
yeah, we out
And
of
the only
time.
reason why I don't go there
Stars.
because it's just too far for me to come from. Yeah.
John, wrap it up with your thoughts. We out of time here.
Well, it's 2026, and I laid back when Obama got elected and sung Kumbaya, threw my feet up, got in the lazy boy. I'm sure a lot of other people felt the same way. I thought we had turned the corner, but it's pretty daggone obvious that there's still democracy is not free, and there's a lot of work to be done. You're going to have to stand up and fight for what you want. It's not going to be given to you.
Yeah,
True.
my thought is that,
Amen.
piggybacking off what you said about Obama, once Obama got in, it scared the hell out of them. And they thought that what they did to us may come back and be done to them, and that they had to revisit what used to be prior to Obama. Therefore, things like the Voting Act and the destruction of DEI and elimination of all kind of African American history stuff in schools and,
Oh my God,
and,
history
and,
stuff.
and museums and stuff like
Jesus.
that. Jeff,
All I gotta do is say, the hook.
thank you, Jeff.
The
Listen.
hook.
My thought process, if it was done once, it can be done twice.
Okay.
Amen.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Fellas.
I don't know what you think. I don't know if we made sense. I know it got a little scrambled here and there.
The hook.
But that's what happens when we get together sometimes. I'd like to thank you all
On
for
the hook.
listening. I want to thank my co-host, Jeffrey Lowe.
On the hook.
I want to thank our sports and analyst, Leland Stein, for bringing up that topic today. And I want to thank our newbie, no longer newbie, our ace, Michael Hudson.
Hudson.
Thank you all for listening. Tune in for our next show.
I like that name.
I got a
Hudson.
building name. that we
We'll
got.
see you next time.
On the hook.
Peace.